Movement Podcast, an online community for professional creatives.
Movement is a digital community for professional creatives that want to dig deeper.
We want to help people find their brand of professional to create their dream life and career. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Movement Podcast.
We're back again.
Yep. I've been saying the Movement Podcast every time. It's just Movement Podcast.
I mean, the is fine. I think that's
Yeah. The.
After creating this, we discovered there are 100 things that say movement, so.
There are definitely other podcasts.
Yeah.
And we even spelled it without vowels.
Yeah, I know. And there were still several. It's wild.
Yeah. So this is the Movement Podcast.
That's what's up.
Today we are talking about accountability versus abuse.
Knowing the difference between constructive criticism and being verbally abused, being picked on.
Period.
Because there is a difference.
Yeah. So we have a few different perspectives.
Yeah. So from an employer perspective, it's scary to sit down with someone and have them give you negative feedback or to be the one giving negative feedback. Mm-hmm. Off the top, you're going to be a villain in some way. And that's hard. Poor me, Yeah. No one likes to be hated or shunned, but you go into these conversations knowing that that's a possibility and it has to be done to keep the integrity of the business or the project. On the flip side, when it isn't done, employees lose respect for you and your business starts kind of falling into this, place that wasn't the goal, if standards aren't upheld. I mean, you can't keep everyone happy all the time and you will drown trying.
Yeah, for sure. So I was the salon manager for Mallory for a year. So I managed a few girls. How many do we have? 7 or 8?
At the time, yeah.
Yeah, whenever I started, we had 7 or 8 girls. And it is super, it's frustrating to give feedback.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was always very nice and fluffy whenever I was approaching people for feedback.
Especially the little stuff that happened all the time, close the towel cabinet.
Yeah. And saying close the towel cabinet over and over again. And then it's a thing that we have to do for the state. Yeah.
That's a state board rule. Towels are supposed to be covered.
It's not just a nitpicky thing. And even if it was, just close the cabinet.
Right. It's not that hard.
Yeah. And it feels so shitty to get a negative reaction to feedback whenever you're giving feedback. And it comes to the point are you pissed about the person delivering the feedback?
Are you embarrassed that you're being told to do anything at all? What is it?
Yeah. Are you embarrassed that you are being told over and over again?
Because at that point, that's a you problem.
Yeah.
That's something that you have to correct. We can't correct that for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if it comes with age or not, but I feel
at 19, I'd have been so pissed hearing you say that.
Absolutely.
But at 36, I'm yeah, life experience will do that to you.
I feel the younger you are, the more you think you know.
The more offensive that is. Yeah, 100%.
You're no, I'm perfect.
And then be a mom then too.
Yeah.
We knew everything.
Oh, God. That was the worst.
Poor loved ones of our lives at that time.
Yeah, it's horrible. So my best friend in the whole world, I love her. I would die for her. That sounds dramatic.
No, I get it. We love Whitney.
Yeah, she's amazing. So she was my manager, and I feel like I was a snotty little asshole whenever she was my manager. And she doesn't remember any of this, so that's good. But yeah, she one time I got these pants that had cat prints on them, but they looked like office chic cat prints. And she very nicely didn't call me out in front of everyone, sent me a message on a little instant messenger thing and was those kind of look like PJs, maybe not wear those anymore. And I was pissed. I just bought these pants.
Yeah.
And I'm don't even come at me like that. And she was super nice, in hindsight. I was just being an asshole.
I get it. I mean, this is not exactly the same thing because I was watching this happen with my manager at the time and her superior. But when I was in property management, oh my God, this was in 2007, 2008, and office attire was one way or the highway. Mm-hmm. And everyone was trying to get a little bit more casual. I mean, we're out walking apartments in 100-degree heat. We needed a little more flexibility in our wardrobe. And I will never forget. So the property manager at the time, she came in these really cute pants, but they looked kind of like jeans, really, really nice jeans. And they were from, do you remember that store in the mall? What was it called? New York something?
I don't know.
Anyways, not really important. But it was the office attire place to go in the early 2000s. Okay. Well, they were called denim slacks. And she was like, I can wear them because they're slacks. And it was like this whole thing.
Yeah.
And the VP had come to the property that day. And like this person was like the next in line. She never got in trouble for anything. She got in trouble and she was so pissed. And like after the VP left, she was just kind of stomping around a little bit all day and like so upset about it. And it was just so funny. Like I obviously wasn't in the room whenever they had that conversation, but the reaction after the fact, like it was funny at the time, but especially now looking back, like that definitely made the rest of us feel like the rules didn't matter as much because she kept wearing them just when she knew she wasn't going to see her.
Yeah.
You know, like it's, I don't know, it's one of those things. Like when we're the employee, we don't make the rules, but we did sign on to follow them.
Yeah.
And like if you're going to get called out, good or bad, like for doing something you know you weren't supposed to do, like who's really there for that?
Yeah.
You know?
For sure. It is definitely not always great to hear feedback.
No,
like
sometimes
if it's
it
not
sucks.
positive. Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just hard because I've also been, I mean, having had employees for a few years, when you're always giving positive feedback, that can actually turn negative sometimes too. And then whenever there is like, okay, hey, so this has been happening, we need to fix this, then that can take on a life of its own too.
Yeah. Definitely.
Sorry, that's a whole different direction. This is not what we have written down.
No, not at all. We have an outline and we're going off topic. But yeah, like I get it. And I was talking to Mallory about this like before we started, and I used to be so bad at confrontation, like so bad. And I love telling people how amazing they're doing. It like brings me joy to make people happy. And I used to just, I was like, I could never be a manager. And then it wasn't really that bad because I wasn't like out to get them. And I knew that.
I think the hard part there is like, we know we're not out to get them. We're here for the betterment. And like, it's our job to uphold that standard.
Yeah.
But like, no matter how nice we are about it or how understanding we are about it, if it's not held firm, it's not effective, and then we're all hurting and we're right back in the same place.
Yep.
And like we can know that it comes from a good place, but if that person isn't open to receiving any kind of feedback, it will be a negative experience no matter what.
Yeah.
And that sucks because that's not something that we have control over.
Yeah. And then like if you are only giving positive feedback, like you're absolutely like blowing all of your goals out of the water. Like maybe it's time for something new, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, just because you're doing great doesn't mean you don't feel challenged, but like, let's pretend for a second that you don't feel challenged anymore. And like the success is just like, you're sleeping through it. Maybe it is time to move on, but like in a happy, positive way. It's not a bad thing. That's exciting.
Yeah. It could be as little as just like raising your prices.
Yeah.
Or it could be like moving on and like doing your own thing, like having your own salon.
Yeah.
Or your own whatever. And
breaking out into education.
Yeah. You need that, like, you need that feedback. You really do to grow.
100%. And I have conditioned myself to, I don't want to say enjoying that feedback, but knowing that I need it, like, hey, I ask for it is basically what I'm saying. Like, hey, do you have any feedback for me? Could this be better? Is it okay? Like, you know, in your opinion, what could change? What would make it better? And at the end of the day, it's my decision on what I do or don't do. But having that opinion is invaluable.
Yeah.
But you got to be open to it. And the people that aren't open to it seem to just get so defensive. And so, I don't know. I keep thinking back to, like, me in that time period when I was defensive about everything, and it was a lot of the time out of embarrassment.
Yeah, definitely.
But like, I don't know how to fix that for someone. I mean, it's not my job to, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how to make that less embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so photography wise, like whenever I very first started, I had like a style. Well, I thought I had a style.
Sure. We all start there.
Like, you know, obviously in hindsight, I was not doing great, but I like had people that I wanted to take feedback from, but then like if I would post one of my photos in a photography group and someone I didn't know or didn't like fully
I didn't want to hear that from you.
Yeah. Like they gave me the same feedback. I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
You don't know me.
Yeah.
I'm better than you. And that's like, I feel like lack of knowledge. Like the more you know, the less you think you know. You know what I mean? The less you know, the more you think you know.
Yes, definitely. And I'm going to even piggyback on that for a second and say that lack of knowledge, when especially when success comes too fast, really feeds the ego.
Yeah.
And it can keep us from being receptive to feedback. Like you were saying, no matter who it comes from.
Yep. There was a girl that she became a photographer
Overnight.
Instantly blew up. Like, she was instantly good. And she was very defensive and didn't trust people. And I just feel like she had a unique style that she instantly put into her photos.
Yeah.
And it's like her unique style. But because she was instantly booked up all the time, like she was like just weird. Like, it was a weird relationship between her and other photographers.
It became really weird. I was friends with her for a little while, and I had done some work with her, and we ended up parting ways because this is when I was still doing a lot of wedding hair, and we were going to do like a package, like a partnership, and she was like so not on board with me having a contract. She was like, I just, I hang out with my clients, and like I'm the type of photographer that like takes shots with them. I'm like, that's cool. But how do you make sure you get paid?
I just want to put something in there that's not cool.
It's not cool.
It's not cool to drink on the job, and it's not cool to not have a contract, especially if you're a photographer.
Dude, when she was like, you're just too professional for me, I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work.
No, you have to cover your ass. Like, that's the first step. Like, you buying
visually, our vibes might jive, but nothing else about this works.
No, like, if you're, like, professionally, if you're not on the same level, it just feels weird.
It does. And it becomes one person babysitting the other. And I don't want to babysit people.
Yeah. And like I said, like, the more you know, the less you think you know.
100%.
And yeah, the less you know, the more you think you know. So this person was wanting to do
We should put that on a t-shirt.
I know. I've heard it somewhere, obviously, but it just popped in my head, and I was like, damn.
Beautiful.
That works. But this person wanted to do a workshop. Photography workshop, and like invited me over to their house and was like, I'm going to do this part. You could do boudoir, because at the time I had a studio, and this other person is going to do like film photography. And I was like, I don't really know if I'm ready to teach a workshop.
Yeah.
And I had been a photographer for a long ass time, probably like 5 years by then. And I didn't feel like I could, but she felt like she could. And that was just like, looking back at that, like, I wanted to make sure that these people were getting their whole, like, their money's worth.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That was what like ended it. She was like, if you're not ready for that, then that's fine. And I was like, ooh, okay. Well,
God forbid we like walk through this a little bit.
Yeah.
Something.
I definitely wasn't ready, but like, we don't need to make it mean.
Well, yeah, like, especially not like that.
Yeah. It was weird. And we're just ranting now, but it's just.
Yeah, we're totally off our outline.
Always be humble. Okay, so one thing, I'm going out of line here.
Oh, we left it a long time ago.
Yeah, our we had like a whole way that
we
we were
got
going to go on topic.
2 sentences in and we took off.
Yeah. But I feel like taking feedback and the way you take feedback really reflects on you. Even if you don't respect the person who's giving you the feedback.
Your attitude determines your altitude. I'm just going to respond with emotional posters. Everything you have to say. Go.
Yeah. We're just going to start sticking Post-its everywhere with these. But I feel like the way that you react, like, determines how you will be looked at or how you will look at yourself. And I think it might take like a certain amount of time and experience in like the workplace period to get to that point. But through like Lexapro and growth and age, I'm just like, take the feedback with a smile on your face. And then if you don't take it to heart, that's fine. But just like,
yeah, it's up to you what you do with that feedback. But like, ultimately, the majority of the time that feedback is there to help you.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. There are assholes out there that are there to keep you down. And I understand that that's a thing. And if that is the type of environment that you feel like you're in, and like honestly feel like you're in, not just defensive because someone keeps telling you to pick up after yourself, you need to really take a look at why you're still there. Because if you are being mistreated verbally, emotionally, any kind of abused in the workplace, you should not stay there.
No
matter how good the pay is, no matter how much you like your work wife, whatever, that's not healthy. That's not okay.
Yeah.
And finding something that will better suit you obviously would be best for your mental health. I mean, if there's any chance that said person or leadership team is open to hearing that feedback, because this works both ways, like leadership and employees need to be open to feedback. I would definitely suggest at least attempting to let the situation be known, but like if that does not look like a safe option, or if you do give that feedback and it's not received and done anything with, then you have to feel okay with moving on.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like some of that stuff could be like your mentality about the workplace.
Yeah.
And like, say this is your dream job and you just have one person that the feedback really just gets under your skin. Like, put yourself in a mental state to just not let it bother you. I know that's easier said than done, but
it is. But like, it's one of those types of advice that like, that is just the way that it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to like let people walk all over you. That's not what I mean. Like, you don't have to take disrespect.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, feedback is not disrespect.
No.
It can be given in a disrespectful way, but feedback is there to help.
Yeah, for sure. And if there's someone just straight up like being an asshole to you, yes, definitely leave. But I just feel like,
yes, say that in the moment. Be like, hey, why are you talking to me like that?
Yes, stand up for yourself.
Talk the situation a little bit.
And I feel like maybe this is also something with age, but like approaching your boss should never be like scary.
No, it shouldn't. I mean, I understand why it is.
Yeah, for sure.
But it really shouldn't be. I try so hard to make sure that everyone that has ever or will ever worked for me knows that I want that feedback. Even if it's bad, I'd rather know. I can't fix it if I don't know it's bothering you or it's broken. Because I see things through my own lens, just like you see things through your lens, et cetera, et cetera. We can be in the exact same situation and have completely different perspectives on it.
Yeah. I mean, like us working together, for instance, like whenever I first started, like my listening face is just like pissed. It's not though. It's just like I'm listening and I'm taking it all in, and like I don't react with my face very much, and I don't know, I just listen. You know, I'm like
you don't emote very much when you're taking information in, and that took me a while to figure out. For forever I was like, oh my god, she's so pissed.
For like the first 2 months I had to be like, I'm not mad, it's fine. No, I appreciate your feedback and what you're telling me. Like, this is great, we will work great together. Yes. And that's just my face. And I always took the feedback and I'd like write it down and like
100%. I was always so appreciative that like you wanted to know what was or wasn't working.
Yeah.
But like on the other side of that, whenever you brought me feedback, not only was I grateful that you said anything at all, but it was not in an accusatory way.
Yeah.
It was very much like, hey, I noticed this. I think this could be better. Or the girls have mentioned this and, you know, maybe we could try. Like, it was solution oriented, not like you fucked up. I got to fix your shit now.
And it was respectful.
Yes, you were very respectful.
I feel like the way that we talked to each other, we respected each other.
Yes, 100%.
It wasn't like you were just paying me, like, listen to me, you know?
No.
It was like you really took all of my input, you know, and took it to heart, at least considered it, even 100%. If it was, you know? And I just feel like that respect is what makes all work environment, all criticism, all like interactions,
like, it makes it keep going.
Yeah. I mean, it makes it just like so much better and smoother.
When you feel unvalued or disrespected, you don't want to keep putting forth your best.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. And like the communication that we had, like, because I wasn't scared to come talk to you, it was like I appreciated your feedback and you appreciated mine. But if there is a situation to where your boss, okay, I had a boss.
Yeah.
He just did a bunch of things that were pure disrespect to me. Anytime he would give me feedback, I didn't care. Like, not even a tiny bit. And he was never like, hey, I could be like doing great. And he would never be like, hey, good job. It was just like, he didn't care about his team. He had no leadership skills at all. And I could not wait to get out of there. And I quit because of him, but I became a photographer. So it's all good.
So like, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. He was just the worst.
Some people just suck. You know, I was just thinking while you were telling that story, I don't know why I didn't think about this earlier when we were outlining here, but I had a boss. Okay, so when I worked in property management, same boss as before with the denim slacks, she made you feel like you had to earn any kind of training or any kind of like knowledge share. And that made it really, really difficult. Like, you had to be her favorite to learn things. And then that company that I worked for hired this new manager, and oh my God, I loved her so much. I have never learned so much from another person, I don't think, in my entire life. And she made me feel like it was important for me to know how to do my job. because it contributed to the business, not because I was there to support her. I don't know if that makes sense, but like she would tell me like, it is very important that you know how to do not only your job, but my job, because I was the assistant manager at the time. So if she was gone, I was acting manager and I had to take on her responsibilities. And those were the things I didn't know how to do working under the other manager.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those situations, like she made me feel so valued in my job that when I did get negative feedback, I didn't take it personally. I didn't break down and cry in her office. I didn't get defensive. I was like, okay, you want me to do better so that we can all do better. Like that was the first time I really like grasped that and understood that.
Yeah. When you have a good boss, the feedback feels like an opportunity.
Yes, thank you. That is where I was trying to go with that.
Something like negative.
Yes.
That just like doesn't feel like you're getting beat down. It feels like, wow, I can grow.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the right environment, that's exactly what it should feel like, an opportunity to make an adjustment and to excel, not an FU.
Yeah. And I just want to say, this has all been off the top of the dome. We are just talking.
Yeah, we left this outline 2 seconds in.
Yeah.
And I've tried to glance at it, but I can't talk and read at the same time. So.
I don't even know where we are now.
I don't
know
either.
what's covered. So I just feel like, wow.
I feel like we've covered it, just not in the way we originally wrote it down.
Yeah, we're just really killing it today, in case you were curious. I walked in, and we're both wearing skirts with, stockings.
Yeah, it's 34 degrees outside, so the tights were happening today.
Yeah.
We do this a lot. We dress very similarly unplanned.
We do. When we worked at the salon together,
yeah,
the other salon, we were always dressing the same.
But in our own vibe. Like you've got on this really cool like silky tiger t-shirt dress. And I have on like a knit sweater skirt and a black sweater. I look a little bit like a librarian.
But in like a cool way. You know what you look like?
Tell me.
Your Pinterest board.
That's like the biggest compliment if you've never met me before.
You are living your brand.
I really am. I'm on
so
brand
proud
today.
of you. Yeah.
I should have worn the red lip. That would have really been on brand. But I was eating food all day and I didn't want to smudge it on my face. So.
But I was looking at your lip
day.
Whenever I came in, and it was dark and it kind of matched your glasses, and I felt like it goes with the vibe.
Thank you.
So I feel like
I went with a more like brownish nude today. Yeah. It doesn't smear as much as my red.
Looks great.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Back to what we were doing.
Yep.
But yeah, like what it comes down to is like yourself. I mean,
through growth and Lexapro. Yeah. You will excel at your work.
Yeah. It's just like if you can get to a point in your life mentally to where you can take feedback in a happy way.
You don't even have to be happy about it. Just like we said earlier, like look at it as an opportunity. Even if the person telling you the feedback is being shitty, there is a possibility that there's truth in the feedback. So listen to what they're saying more than how they're saying it. Of course, unless you're getting screamed out in the face, that's completely different.
No.
There's a caveat to all this we're saying, unless it's abusive.
Okay, my advice.
Yes.
What has made my job easier? Because like I went from banking job to being self-employed by myself for
very long time.
7 years. And then I worked for Mallory for a year. And coming from a place where I just worked for myself and then I like managed one person to being a manager and an employee, like if you keep a good attitude, it changes everything.
It really does. Like your whole entire life.
If you don't let things like the feedback get down deep inside, like I feel like it'll be so much smoother.
Yeah,
and
don't make it personal. And don't let anyone make it personal.
I take Lexapro. It helps a lot. Through the Lexapro and the growth and the age, I feel like I try to take those things as words and not a tone, like you said, you know, and then this is one thing you have to do too. Like instead of saying, oh, this bitch came at me sideways and I'm pissed that she had the gall to freaking come at me and give me feedback.
I know we feel that way on the inside. I do understand. And, you know, vent that way to your BFF. But at work, you can't do that. You have to remove street vibe from office vibe.
Honestly, with everything you are approached with, critically think, what did I do wrong in this situation? If it's nothing, maybe your boss is just a dick. You have to literally think like, what could I have done differently? Or what can I change? And then when you are taking that feedback as feedback, it's just so much easier.
That's a big thing about accountability. Like, I'm glad you said that because that totally just brought this up. Accountability isn't always fault. It's your fault. You did something wrong. It's just, hey, this could be a little bit different. What's my place in this? And having that perspective on it is huge. That literally changed my life. I went from thinking everyone hated me, no one was ever happy with anything that I did, to we're just not there yet. Yeah. this is a learning experience. I'm on chapter 1. She's on chapter 700. Like, we'll get there, you know?
And like with this attitude that I've gained, I guess, coming into this job, I didn't like walk around constantly thinking I was in trouble. You know, I feel like...
No, definitely not.
I feel like whenever you have a job, whenever you're younger, you're just constantly like, why is my boss calling me into this office? Because I'm obviously going to get fired, right? And you just have to change your attitude.
The attitude definitely has a lot to do with it, but so does the environment. I mean,
Yeah.
We are coming from a place of our best to provide a healthy work environment, but we have also both worked in not healthy work environments, and we know they exist. I'm not trying to say that everything's sunshine and you're the problem, listener, but don't approach it as any person being the problem, like just the situation, how can it improve?
I feel like we both like truly care about people growing.
Yes.
And we both put a lot of our heart into people growing.
Yes.
And like, honestly, I didn't know how shitty people can be in the workplace.
Yeah. They really can sometimes.
I totally forgot about that. And I came into this just like believing everything everyone said. And I needed to take that feedback and be like, I need to change because this person has a concern and they're coming to me. So I need to do that.
But that's the thing. And like, especially this situation that we're talking about right now, I brought up concerns and then they were thrown back at me. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that you feel that way. Can you give me an instance? I would love to change that. No, just all the time. I mean, just we went from everything seemed to be okay to a request done very inappropriately. And when I tried to address that, everything went so downhill so fast. And it was kind of a whirlwind. And I was stuck in this, am I being gaslit or am I gaslighting? I don't really know what's happening right now.
I think I was being gaslit. It's everything is a learning opportunity. And
I think you have to have that experience to be on guard about it, especially whenever the environment feels friendly. It's hard to notice sometimes that it becomes like, oh my God, I'm doing your job for you. And then whenever I have to be like, hey, you actually have to do this part of your job, it's like, what?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Character building moments, as my dad says.
Yeah, I say that to Joey all the time and she hates it.
Yeah.
You're building character.
Yep. I hated it too, but now I get it.
I do. I kind of hate being the one having to say that sometimes, but like I don't really have another answer. Like I know it sucks.
Yeah.
I know that it's hard and I know that it's uncomfortable, but the more you grow in these, the more you allow yourself to grow in these situations, the less uncomfortable that becomes. And you're able to see it, like you said earlier, see it as an opportunity and keep going. And that's when you feel yourself level up as a person. And that affects your personal life too. You no longer feel like you have to take gaslighting or any kind of negativity from friends or family members or anything like that. And you should hopefully feel more empowered to stand up for and protect yourself, because it's hard on both sides. And like, not to be poor me, but I'm gonna for a second, but like being a business owner, not even just a salon owner, but like a business owner, it's hard. There are a lot of things that we're not supposed to or allowed to talk to our employees about. There are a lot of stresses that we carry every day, a lot of responsibilities, a lot of liabilities that, yes, we decided to take those on, sometimes unknowingly. Whenever you're trying to provide a good, safe environment to people, like if nothing is ever approached from let's find a solution standpoint, it can be a different kind of draining and upsetting. Like, just it's hard on this side too. And if you have the ability to work in a salon where they're trying to make changes and do good, understand that we don't know everything and we are trying things out as we go.
And it also makes it weird to like have friends at work.
Yes, that makes it really hard. That's a delicate balance. And I do think there's a difference between being friendly and friends. Yeah. I don't know, that's tough.
I'm definitely friendly with like the girls at the salon, like still, but it just felt wrong to hang out with anybody that I managed outside of work, because like, what if I became closer with one of the girls? Like that would change the dynamic. And if I'm friends with one of the girls and they're getting more value out of me than the other girls, it can affect the attitude of the other employees. And it, you know, like favoritism, just there's no room for it.
Well, and not only that, but like if we get to a place, like as the manager, leader, salon owner, whatever, if we get to a place where like, okay, I feel safe, like I can be vulnerable here, what's an overshare? What's too far? I don't know. There's a balance to be found. You can't really just completely shut yourself off either.
No, definitely not. And like having those like real conversations and like getting to know each other definitely makes it easier to work together.
I think so.
But I feel like you can't blur the boundary lines. You have to keep those.
That's the hard part.
Solid. Yeah. And if you're starting to feel like a little bit uncomfortable, maybe take a step back. Like you don't have to make it awkward, but take a step back, because what if you became like best friends with somebody at work and then you had to give them feedback?
I mean, I have been in a situation like that before, and the feedback never went well.
Yeah. It makes it a less professional situation.
It really does.
Yeah. We went deep on this episode.
We did.
Yeah.
That was very unintentional.
Yeah.
But you know what? We went there.
Off the rails, but
That's
in a
just
good
what
way.
we do.
Yeah. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, like, know that you are at work.
Yeah.
And you can take the feedback. You can. You can do it without feeling negative about yourself.
100%. It takes work, and it takes practice, and it takes, I think, cooperation from both sides, but it can be
Definitely.
done. And yeah, I don't know, just Mallory's advice, my advice, people are open to change or they aren't. But what you can do, well, what you can't do is change them. What you can do is control how you take that information and what you do with it. If they're clearly not open to changing a behavior or even hearing that something isn't right, it's time to part ways on either side of this. Staying in an environment that you have surpassed intellectually or emotionally will only hold you back, and you should not stay in an environment that way, no matter how much you like your work wife or the coffee or whatever. And an employee that can't or won't rise to the level of the business will poison the well. It's just time to move on. Don't force it.
Shit in the stew, I've heard. Because if you put shit into stew, it ruins the whole pot. I've said this will be probably the third time I've said it, but it's worth
okay.
repeating.
Repetition sticks. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep a good attitude. Like, your whole attitude is up to you. If you get feedback from your boss who is an absolute asshole, be like, thank you for this feedback. If you get feedback from your boss that is great, thank you for the feedback, because killing them with kindness is a thing. And then there's also, you get more flies with honey than vinegar, which doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, because flies are attracted to literal shit.
Yeah. And I have literally made a little contraption out of a bottle with vinegar in it. But
I mean, you get more bees with honey, but I've heard both.
See, I Googled it because Kyle says bees.
Yeah.
But I was like, bees make the honey, but they also eat it. So I don't understand. But I Googled it and it's flies. I even Googled get more bees with honey and it said flies.
We just need a new saying. We'll make up our own and we'll let you know.
You get more bitches with hugs than punches.
We're going to work on that.
I tried.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.